pleasure, and welcome to another This Sporting Life, and thanks for joining us on an evening when too much sport will be barely enough. It's an all-action Super Anzac Day special edition of The Life tonight, and later at this very card table, perched as it is precariously on the abyss of sport in this nation, we'll be joined by arguably one of Asia's leading nautical minds. Oh, it's a conundrum, isn't it? I'll put you out of your misery. You can't handle it any longer. The guest tonight is Sir James Hardy. But first up, let's get a big man gnawing at a bone as we dangle a juicy titbit in front of his eyes simply by asking Rampaging Roy Slaven, what was the highlight of your week, digger?
Thank you very much, HG. The unification of the two belts, the WA and the WBC heavyweight, the two belts have been united by the great Michael Moorer, the first southpaw, and I think we'll get a shot of Michael coming up, the first there he is, putting one on, putting a big right jab on Evander Holyfield, the outgoing heavyweight champion. But this bloke Moorer is very, very special. He leads with the right, cunningly hides, disguises the left, but it's the big punch. Might I say, too, that he has announced his retirement. I learnt this on my way in this evening. He's announced his retirement. He's not going to take on Lennox Lewis.
Well, that is a shock, and revealed first here on The Life. Right. And obviously with Michael Moorer going the distance with Evander Holyfield, and what better way to celebrate Australia's Anzac Day than simply watching two big men hammering at each other. It reminds me, of course, that we have Tuesday week, I think, another magnificent bout. Costas Yu, our very own Costas Yu, going up against Angel Hernandez at the Newcastle Entertainment Centre tomorrow week. And Roy, obviously, I'll let you introduce the Zhu boy, because I don't know that many people know his work, his art, his craft.
No, let's have a look at Costas Zhu. He is Australian. He was Russian, but he's now an Australian. Here he is putting away a Dutchman. Down goes the Dutchman. You can see he's scrambling around. Heads, brains just scrambled. Here he is putting away the Finn, and we might see the Finn come back. Here he is going in with a Finn, putting him away. Remember, he's Costas Zhu. He's not a southpaw. He's a regular lead with a left sort of fighter. Down goes another Dane. Here he goes. He's against a Japanese bloke here, I think, now. Watch him put him down, put him out of his misery. There he goes. Down he goes. Dating us. Look at this. Here we are. We'll see it again. Look at him go. Look at him. Dating us there. Dating us. Look at that. Here he comes. I think he's against I might have been a Spaniard here he put down, I think, HG. Another Spaniard goes down. And he's got, here he is against, it might have been an American here, putting him down. That's Costas Zhu. He's a little bloke, but he's very, very fast. He's got quick feet and he's got quick hands. That's why, and he's got a quick head. That's why I like him. And, of course, like all great Australian fighters, he comes from somewhere else. Who can forget Aussie Joe Bouzner setting the trend all those years ago? Johnny Famishon, of course, and now Zhu is from Russia. But, Roy, tackling a big fight like the Zhu boy is, what would be going through your mind at this very time? Can I reserve that to the other side of our street?
Why not? Welcome to our street once again, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are in Railway Parade. Railway Parade, Lithgow. It's always a fabulous street. And who have we got up there, Roy?
This is Barry and Linda, by the looks of things, and young Ian getting into the car
That's
here.
Bloodnut Ian. He's modelled himself on Craig McDermott. It's very, very funny. And
now, does this bloke know him? This bloke looks as if he knows him. This old Bob.
Old Bob Theo.
Old Bob knows him.
He does. And
I think old Bob, he's just got himself a pie and a cake by the looks of things from the Cakes and Pies here. And he's nipping off to his own car. And by the looks of things, there'll be a rendezvous a little bit later on. Now, I would suggest to all of them, get in touch with us on This Sporting Life.
For a substantial prize.
Yeah.
Do it simply by ringing the ABC you're watching now and win in our street. And you never know when we come into your street. Yes, well, Roy, obviously you've been in this position many, many times before with a big fight coming up, say a week out. You've put in your road work, you've done your rope, you've done your speed ball, you've done your shadow, you've done your ring work, you've done your sparring. What comes up first? Is it the road? Is it the fact that you've got to get up at 4 o'clock every morning, down a couple of raw eggs and run 50 kilometres before coming back for a spew? Is that what's uppermost on your mind, or is it sussing out via video your opponent? Yeah. What would be going through the Zhu boy's mind right now?
Well, I think coming into a fight, you know, if you're say a week, you're 8 days out of a fight, as Costa is tonight. I think you've got to learn, know where your dimensions are, know where you are in the ring, know how much space you take up. Now, for example, if we can go to this camera here, okay. If I would imagine this was an opponent. If I was Costa tonight, I'd have something there like someone's head.
Yes.
And I lead with my left, right?
Yeah.
And I've got to know where I am, right? Yeah. So I lead with the left. I keep the right one hidden because that's the big banger, that one. Yeah. So I'm there leading around, putting in the face, and then whoa. You know where you are. That's my dimensions. You know where you are. You know, anything that enters in what I call the zone of influence is going to be hit, and hit bloody hard. It's a simple philosophy, but Zoo is what I'd regard as one of the few Russo-Australian intellectual boxers.
So we can look forward to a scientific bout, both boys coming into the fight with big raps on them.
Well, the Hernandez kid, he's got very big raps on him.
Look, what disappoints me about the Hernandez kid, he's already describing the Ziu preparation as amateurish.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that wise, Roy?
Yeah, I don't think so, because I wouldn't get up Costia's nose in any way by accusing him of stupidity or amateurishness or not. Talking to Manny Hitton the other day, and he reckons, and I trust him.
Yes, well,
he reckons Kostya Tszyu is the most professional fighter to come out of Russia or Australia in the last 80 years, and they're pretty big raps.
That's an enormous rap, Roy. 80 years!
80 years.
You go back 80 years, you're talking of the revolution in Russia.
I suppose you are.
Yes, you're talking 1917, the October Revolution. That is an enormous rap, Roy.
That's right.
I didn't realise they had a tradition that went back that far. Yeah. But, you know, obviously...
Australian boxing is in very good hands.
It is indeed. I think it's in very good hands, and we'll be back with more life and more bright ideas on the Boxing Code after this.
On the dive, on the drive, on the slide, on the jump, on the climb, on the fall. Anytime is date finger time. Date Fingers, the new sticky sweet sensation from Roy and HG.
Hi, Mario Fennick here. When Adrian Toole gave me a date finger for the first time, fair dinks, I nearly hit him because I hated Arnott's date sandwiches as a kid. But now I'm hooked. I'd go through 3 butcher's packs easy every Sunday.
On This Sporting Life, it's time to slam all doors, cross-check and ask the cabin staff to be seated as we take off with the masters of travel, Roy and HG, with Our Australia.
Roy, I think everybody in the world deserves to come to this magnificent oval here in Fremantle, and aren't the people of Fremantle blessed with a magnificent facility like this? I ask all of Asia to take a moment on a Monday night to just grok that grass out there. Have a look at it. Look how green it is. Just take it in, drink it in via the television, and I think it'll affect up here in the nicest possible way. And believe you me, being here in the presence of such green is making me very, very excited, if you know what I mean.
It makes you freak out, doesn't it? You freak out.
Yeah, straight after a little while, I'll be rubble before I leave here. And let's come up into the stand to get away from the grass there. And it's a magnificent stand. It's obviously built by... I was going to say human hand, but what a stupid thing to say. It's a totally hand-built, all the corrugated iron, totally beaten by hand.
Yeah. Listen, let's go through the seating. You can see the modern seating here, which is awful, but this particular seating here... Can you come this far? I don't know if you can see it. Can you see this?
Come up a couple more steps.
It's designed for a bum... Designed for bum and legs, so that if I do sit here,
let me in, Roy.
It's like
heaven.
It is heaven. It's like being in a beautiful, relaxing, those sorts of relaxing chairs that Bobby Lim's been advertising recently in TV Week. Very, 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 very comfortable and old. This is tallow wood. This is tallow wood. Tallow wood here. These larger beams are Jarrah. And you can't get, they're 10 by 10s, I'll speak, of course, inches. You can't get beams that big anymore because all the trees are cut down, obviously, by convicts. This is all convict construction. It is so old. That's what leaps out at you here. Old. It's so old. And another beautiful thing, too, now I think about it, is that if you don't want to sit up here in your comfort, you know, Bobby Lim bum comfort sort of chair, seating, you can sit in your car down below and watch the game from the car with just a thermos, and if there's a bit of action happening on the ground that you approve of, honk, honk, or a bit of action that you disapprove of, honk, honk. It's that sort of place. Beautiful, marvellous, but old. Old.
Oh, it's very old. I feel old sitting here. But the only drawback about it is with your 10 by 10s sticking up like these are, is that I believe the footy club down here, the home of the Bulldogs, the Bloodstone Angels, should chop a big section out of these things and stick in a perspex column in there. Yeah. Because I can't see if somebody was getting, say, a mark in the full forward pocket, or if the umpire was flattened by, a dud backman, you know. I can't see it because that column's right in the road. And I keep bumping into people like that. And look at this here. I mean, I don't know whether we can see this here. I mean, how'd you like to have E250 here and have to spend the whole season's ticket holder having to spend the whole bloody season like this, you know, with a big bloody pillow coming out of your backs.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Well, of course, you didn't have your big RSJ in those days.
No.
Convicts didn't think about it. Convicts didn't think.
They were pretty thick, weren't they? They were thick like this.
Yeah.
But just imagine sitting here for a whole season, you know, 20 games down here. That'd be very, very...
Well, that's Johnny Dawkins' seat.
And the next one along's Carmen Lawrence's seat.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that'd be right.
Season ticket holders, that's where they put them. That's Freo. Old.
Yeah, very old. No wonder Peter Sumich took up the game. His dad brought him down and made him sit in this spot.
This is old.
This sporting life now asks you to walk a mile in the shoes of a special Asian.
And tonight, we're very thrilled to have on board, so to speak, Sir James Hardy. And Sir James, can I go right back to the beginning of your life? And in your biography, which we'll get to talk about in a moment, the suggestion that your mum had a very liberal attitude towards alcoholic beverages, and often when the kiddies were a bit crook with a throat infection, you were allowed to gargle a bit of port, and if you were a good boy, you were allowed to swallow it. What was it like when you first wrapped the laughing gear round a substantial, say, 5 Crown port and had a bit of a swallow?
Well, HG, we weren't allowed to swallow it in early days, but my brother Tom one day saw me spitting it out in the sink, and he said, why don't you swallow it, Jim? And I thought, well, I will, and it was much better with the cold after that.
And now, I understand also, you know, would today you recommend this to parents who might be watching with a little sick kiddie, you know, crying in the bedroom?
Well, a bit of port I don't think's hurt anybody, but swallowing it too early is probably not so good.
Yes, yeah. When did you get into wine, Jim? I mean, has wine always been part of the family, you know, French style? As soon as you sit down to have dinner, there's always a bit of wine there, always wine. Bit of wine, Jim? Yes, thanks, Mum. Wine, nice wine. It was always wine?
It was always wine. In fact, drinking claret with curry, my mother used to leave a curry on the stove, and that was pretty hectic.
Yes.
About 13 or 14, having a glass of claret. Roy, that really set you on fire.
And how was it when you were allowed to have a lash and, say, you know, mix a bit of your own? You know, get a few grapes from here and, you know, jump about on them. And when your first vintage came through that was yours, you know, you held it up, colour good, nose, beautiful, and sip, oh, beautiful back palate, all that sort of stuff. How was that when your first wine came out in the bottle?
Well, it didn't come out in the bottle because I used to just put my finger in the vat down at McLaren Vale and drop it in and have a taste of it, and that was the way to go.
What sort of mix and match? I'll take a bit out of that hogshead and a bit out of that and see what happens.
Yeah, well, you could stay by it while it was fermenting, and this burgundy colour, it was just fantastic.
Yeah.
Speaking of wines, dud wines. Now, obviously, on the show, we've explored duds in entertainment, duds in football, duds in sailing, which we might get to in a moment. Dud wines, though, Jim, you must have sampled a few in your time.
Well, once or twice, but bad corks, HG, they're the worst thing at the moment. We get them from Spain and Portugal, but I don't know whether they're putting the mould in them to send them out to hurt the Australian industry, but too many mouldy corks.
Well, can you pick a bottle that's been corked just by looking at it? Jim, unlike us, you know, we open it up and it just tastes, oh, you've got to throw it away, so you know it's been corked, it's oxidised,
well,
air has got in. Can you tell just by looking at a bottle?
I'd like to present this one to you because I think the colour is quite off-putting. It's one of the, continuing the fighting theme, it's a Merovingian from the great stable of Aussie Joe Boujna wines, and this is a Joseph Chardonnay. What would you say about that one,
just by the colour?
Corkage
problem? The colour looks pretty good, looks a wee bit oxidised, as if a little bit of air a bit of air got to it when they were fermenting it, probably, HG, but the colour's not too bad, and the cork flavour, it's in the nose, the smell of it. That's where you first pick it up.
Ah, right. Yes. So you can smell it through this metal bit around the top? No.
When you pour it out.
When you pour it out. But it's too late by then.
Oh, no, you've spent your money. You've spent your money, wasted your money.
But we'd like to get plastic corks that you could use a corkscrew, HG. That would be the
Is that really the consumer's resistance is to the fact that they can't pull a cork?
That's right. It's a psychological thing.
Yeah, otherwise we could just have screw-on caps and everyone would be happy. Sir James, we should talk about yachting. I mean, has yachting been as much part of your life as wine-making or being part of a wine-making family?
Well, it's been in tandem all the way along.
Yes.
As early as I can remember, there was yachting in the family and wine in the family, Roy, so it's been there all right.
Did you get tired of losing, say, to Bill Ficker, to, I don't know if you went against Bus Mossbacker, probably not, but to, Dennis Connors. Did you get tired of losing, Jim? I mean, year in, year out, you come back, well, we did very well, we won one out of the bloody five or what have you.
Paul Rigby in New York said to me, the cartoonist, a few years back, he said that he'd got me into the Guinness Book of Record.
Yes.
He said, because nobody has lost as many America's Cup races in history as you have. I said, well, that's not a very good way to get into the Guinness Book, but...
Yes, but you're there. You're there, Jim. You're there.
No, we're not there. A lot of people aren't there. Joe Boosner isn't, I don't think.
No.
Look, could I get you to tie a knot for us? Say, just start off with a simple bowline and we might progress on to a sheep shank in a minute.
Yeah,
Have we
well,
got a bowline there?
bowline's a good trick. You tie it like that.
Yes. Oh, look at that. Oh, it comes apart.
It's a slip knot.
What a beauty.
Start again.
No, that's all right.
Keep going. You've got plenty of time.
It's a pretty lively bit of string.
Now, while you're doing that, Jim,
There you go.
Dennis Connor, mad as a cut snake? Mad?
Well, he wins, as he said to me once, he bludgeons his way to success.
Yes, mad.
He's really a great yachtsman, though, Roy.
Yes.
He's been doing it from that high. And
yes.
He can't swim, and somebody said to him once, is it true you can't swim? And Dennis said, he said, swimming is a sign of failure in my sport.
Yes, it would be.
Dead right. Speaking of failure, John Bertrand. Now I hear that he's mad himself. Consumed by this passion, this holy grail of getting the bloody of getting the cup back. And I also hear that he can often turn on crew members. Go the thump on crew members. Can you confirm this? There's no one watching. No one listening.
Well, he's sailed with me 3 times. I was the skipper.
Yes.
He was, to me, my most important crew member. And I don't remember seeing him do that.
Because he kept the others in order. Was that it?
No, he was always thinking. He was always thinking ahead all the time.
Yeah.
He's a smart cookie, and I think there's a win left there.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to ask you, do you think there is a win in this Johnny Bertrand challenge that obviously prepares to attack the America's Cup once again? I think it's coming up next year.
Yes, well, he's got to beat Sid Fisher.
Yes. Sid's easy, mate. Speaking of losers, Sid's number one.
Yeah.
Sir James, just if we've got time, were you surprised when they decided to make you a knight? I mean, how did that, when the message came through, did you put the phone down and think, why?
Exactly. To this day, I don't know who was responsible. And
Roy.
Was it?
Roy, yeah. It was Roy's last act of, revenge against everything the Queen's done to Australia.
It's a beautiful knot.
Oh, it's a tremendous knot. And Sir James, thanks very much for coming in. Good luck with this. I know you're secretary of the challenge vis-a-vis the coming America's Cup go-round, and all the very best with that yacht club out there in the Great Australian Bight. If you want to find out more about Sir James, then get hold of this book written by Rob Mundell and An Adventurous Life, Sir James Hardy. And thanks very much for bringing a copy of this in to give away in Picture This in a moment.
And Sir James could sign it.
Well, Sir James could sign it. Maybe you could go to the break with Sir James on the pen.
I'd be happy
That's
to
tremendous.
Do that. And
we'll be back with more life in a moment.
To Roy?
Yeah, well, no, do a listen.
Oi! Get a move on, Grandma! Get on! What?
The stain absorber for when you are stuck sitting in this wide brown land.
The Players Theatre presents The World of Ian, with Paul Suanen as Ian, Lisa Forrest as Susan, Cole Joy as Ian's dad, Greg Matthews as Ian's friend Cole, Annette Chanwar as Susan's friend Deirdre, and Ted Mulry as Bob the neighbour.
Well, Pops, I wouldn't call Ian and Suze's gig the wedding of the century, but it was a laugh.
Yes, Colin, it went off well. But I'm not sure if it was a good idea to have their honeymoon here at home. Good morning.
Sleep well?
Now, the bed's too small.
A bunk bed is just unsuitable.
Dad, could we sleep in your bed tonight?
And put me in the bunk?
I suppose.
It's possible.
No.
Hey, Bob. Hi, Dee.
How was last night? Weren't you uncomfortable in Ian's bunk bed?
Yes, we were.
Bob and I thought you might be, didn't we, Bob?
Yeah, we did. I thought it might be a good idea if you took over Pop's bedroom.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. Pops has agreed.
Does make sense, doesn't it, Pop?
Oh, yeah, makes bloody good sense. Turfed me out of my bed.
Well, I'm glad that's solved anyway.
Yes, well, I was just saying to Bob this morning that I didn't think that bunk bed of Ian's was satisfactory for a young couple just married. And so, obviously in love.
Well, we're off out in the boat.
We're going fishing, aren't we, darling?
Too right. See you all later.
See you. Right.
Well, I better be off too. Later.
Come on, Ian, let's go and change the sheets over.
Okay, sounds good.
Hi, Shirley Taylor-Smith here, and imaging is a big part of my sport. I think of the bums a lot when I'm ploughing through my 25 kilometres. That one called The Lonely Guy sometimes makes me cry. Not that you'd notice because I'm all wet, but it has helped me heaps.
Australians, you've sat in the bleachers for long enough. And now it's time to strap on the boots and blow your trumpets.
Yes, hello everyone, and welcome to a very exciting development here in Cullen Bay in Darwin. A magnificent site, magnificent potential, and you'd be idiots to yourselves if you didn't pay attention right now for the next minute or so. Roy, you've done most of the work yourself. It's all come out of your mind. What is going on behind us here in Cullen Bay?
Yeah, look, it's cost cost millions, and really, I suppose what I was after is just a simple paradise for people. Here, I've got a marina. Yeah, and you can see where you'd have dwellings all the way around here. We've got the breakwater out here to the right. You can see the construction site. Sure, there doesn't appear much to be happening, but that belies the Cullen Bay development here. Look, people bagged the Ord River scheme, the Burdekin Dam. People bagged BHP when it bloody well started. Give it a go. This could be fantastic. This could be a dream come true, a little bit of paradise purchased on the edge of paradise here at Darwin, where when the villas are complete, you'll be able to lie in bed, tie a bit of line to the flute, and fish till your heart's content. And if you want to, you can go out, hop in your boat, and blast off into paradise. What do you think?
Well, it's a tremendous spot, and I'm looking forward to getting up some of these Italian, Egyptian-style villas.
Neoclassical.
Neoclassical with big columns and funny roofs on them and stuff. And remember those fishing. Roy's going to flood the thing with fish. You will be able to walk on barramundi from this side to the far side. It's that sort of place. It's exciting. It's well worth blowing a trumpet for.
Well done, government. Territory government. Fabulous. It's good, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know where you get the ideas from, Roy. Just a hole in the ground and wet it.
Well, I just put down a few notes on the back of an envelope and
sent it
gave
off.
it to Marshall Parent.
Gave it a big tip.
Next thing, I got the shock of my life.
Coming up next on ABC TV is Clive Hale and his moods.
Yes, welcome back to The Life. And last week in Picture This, Roy showed an absolute cracker. I think it's the best picture of this I've ever seen. Roy, take us through it, and then, of course, pluck a winner from this barrel here behind me.
I will. The stumper was spot the odd person out between these four. A, Don Burrows. B, Pete Tereath. C, Greg Norman. And D, Ken Doan.
Yes.
And
all the winning entries were put into the barrel. Here's Roy's hand. He's pulling an entry out. Here it is. It's coming out now. Who is it?
We've got Michael Dean of Roselands, New South Wales 2196, who says Greg Norman is the only person not to have been interviewed on This Sporting Life's television program. Absolutely right. Well spotted. This week, prizes.
Week, we've got a fantastic prize. Of course, we've got the pound for pound there. We've got the Roy and HG hat there. We've got the date fingers. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the date finger shirt, the one that we get so many inquiries about, but we're not stopping there. We're throwing in An Adventurous Life by Sir James Hardy, signed by Sir James, HG and Roy. So it's a very valuable edition of that particular book, obviously devalued with a lot of extra doodlings on it. Now, Roy's said another stumper. Roy, take us through Picture This for this week.
Yes, let's have a look. Spot the difference. Who's the odd person out of this four? A, Henri Leconte, the brilliant but erratic Frenchman. B, Monet, loony with the oils. C, Charles de Gaulle, remember the war. And D, Jim Courier. Send your entry to Picture This. This Sporting Life, care of ABC TV, GPO Box 9994, Sydney 2001, or you can fax us on 02 950 3466.
And, of course, all you have to do is spot the odd person out amongst those four. Now, Roy, I don't know how many people would remember Brian Lara, the West Indian batter. Now, Brian Lara broke the world record for the biggest number of runs ever scored in a single dig last week. I think we've got a bit of footage now of Brian in action, just to refresh your memory. Here comes Brian tonking the winning 4, which gets him the runs and the record. And, of course, the Garfield Auberon Sobers held the record beforehand, and I think we've got some terrific photos here of 2 blokes on the cuddle, passing the baton.
Doesn't he look fit?
He looks fitter than Brian Lara. Passing the baton from the previous person who held the record to the new person who's got the record now. Roy, a couple of things. Firstly, it was a difficult effort. A lot of people bag the English attack, but I think it's one of the finest attacks ever mounted in cricket. You've got Caddick, Angus Fraser, Phil Tufnell, and they bowled without a lot of luck because Brian Lara stood there firm and got the 375 runs. Now, in a big dig like that, Roy, what goes first? Is it the concentration? Is it the hunger? Is it the bowel? Is it, you know, the vomiting that comes on? Take us through it from your perspective.
I remember Stacky's beginnings in Brisbane in the early 1970s. This was Keith Stackpole. He scored a double ton, I think, might have been against the English, against John Snow. And he said to me when he came off that the first thing to go, and I've noticed this myself, is your hands.
Yes.
Your hands get tired, bruised, you know, buggered up, cuts, etc., battered by the ball all the time, obviously a couple of broken fingers. Then the wrists go.
Yes.
Then your forearms go. You have trouble lifting up your hands. Then the elbows go, then your shoulders. Then your chest is gone. Then your stomach with a constant vomiting of exhaustion. Then the bed flute doesn't know what to do. It can't operate because you haven't got much fluid left, and yet you still want to go to the toilet. It's an odd syndrome that you're going through. Then your legs go, and your knees are all buckled, and your ankles are gone, and your toes are hurting, and then your concentration goes, and then you're really in no person's land at all. You're really buggered. So you've just got to tough it out, and that's what Lara did, because Lara was experiencing this very syndrome, the Stackpole syndrome, to which I just described or referred, when he was only 20 runs. And he had 355 to go in absolute agony. That's why it's a record I'll remember forever.
And what happens in the date area, Roy? Is it always open and just on the weep, and then you look up and the finger's in the air at the other end? Is that what happens?
You've got to wear double gusseting.
Yes. You've got to wear your stain absorber.
Your stain absorber comes into its own when you get, say, over 250.
Yes.
That's where it's mandatory.
And Roy, battling on.